Hi, Colby. It's great to be here with you. Thank you so much for joining us for DIUC today.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm looking forward to the discussion.
Today, our discussion will focus on your team's success in rolling out the new My Library solution. As many of our customers may already know, My Library is powered by the tried and true dimensional insight technology, and it also includes a comprehensive library of applications. It has an improved, easy to use interface as well. Colby, you and your team have been with Dimensional Insight since 2012, and you've been a strong development partner in helping us to assess and refine the user experience around My Library. What was your motivation for implementing My Library, and what problems were you looking to solve?
So, a lot of our issues were with the navigation of the tool itself. Bridge did a really great job at merging dive ports into one singular platform, but what I wasn't getting from the users was the ease of moving between different dive ports. So you would have to go back to Bridge and then move back and forth as that went. So my library kind of streamlined data access and put the data in the right place. So you had a more holistic view of the data. You had the ability to go across multiple dive lines, and we actually benefited from merging all of our dive lines down into one dive line. And then from a user perspective and a data management viewpoint, we were able to take data that existed within multiple projects on multiple dive lines and put it all in the same place for users to get. So when you're talking about ED data that might exist within multiple applications, with my library, it can exist in one view for that user.
Thank you so much for sharing that. It's great to hear your perspective on how streamlined and flexible the data is when you use it within My Library. That's definitely top of mind for us in the tools that we develop. Jumping off from there, can you share some insight into what your team's onboarding experience was like with My Library?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of our users that were already familiar with Dimensional Insight or navigating through Bridge didn't have any trouble with the transition. It actually seemed to boil their pages up to the top for them so that they had a better idea of what all they had access to. But we did have some team members coming in fresh to the platform and using it for the first time. It seems like there was less training than before because they didn't need to know how to navigate between the dive lines and the different dive ports. So that actually was a huge benefit. And then the way that we placed our top level pages to be instruction videos on how to use it actually enabled our newer users to use the product a little bit more seamless than our older users because they understood the ideas of shortcuts and your other functionality within my library.
Fantastic. It's really great to hear that it was pretty seamless for new and experienced diver users. Switching gears a little bit, I'm wondering if you can share any specific examples of how the My Library interface helped UPMC with streamlining data management and saving time.
Yeah, so like we were talking about with different data on different dive ports and being able to merge it all together into at least one dive line for us, it allowed our users to see holistically what all data they have access to, and then subsequently create shortcuts, which weren't as easy prior to my library with bookmarks. So shortcuts will show up at the very top of the page for any user as they set them up themselves. They're individualized, so they're not a standard for everybody, but we also have the ability to create group-based shortcuts or department-based shortcuts so that if you are the director of a department and you want your folks to see these shortcuts, we can create another shelf up there so that you could see what's most important to your department at that time without having to navigate through all the environments and shelves that you'll see below. There was also a lot of time saved on administration of the reporting. When we merged all our dive lines into one, managing users within one set of singular groups and access control eliminated the need to do this multiple times over multiple dive lines. Our licensing structure fit that we were able to do that, and now all of our data exists within one environment, within one My Library instance. So those features that you'll see up here right now allow us to navigate between the different applications or environments very quickly to be able to see a little bit more about what you have access to so that if you're not as familiar with certain pages as they get implemented or they're asked for from management or so on, they'll start flowing into your My Library so that you can go on and see what you're supposed to see at the appropriate time. Another enhancement to the navigation of my library is as you enter the pages that exist on the different shelves, you'll see that that shelf and its pages exist in the top bar as you see your pages below. So if you were to click on measure search here, you of course get the measure search page, but you also have access to measure visuals, and then you have access to the My Library button, which will get you back to your library itself.
That's great. It sounds like there's a big focus on people getting access to the right information at the right time, and also seeing it, like you said, flow into their My Library, understand, what new reports, new dashboards are available that they can start, tracking for their job functions. Finally, UPMC prides itself on its strong data-driven decision-making culture. Can you speak more about how My Library supports this strategy?
Absolutely. So, giving the directors and managers more ability to more or less promote through shortcuts what's most important at the time has allowed our end users or the people on the ground floor to understand what they need to focus on the most. And it also allows them to promote those same dashboards up as high as the C-suite to say, here's what we're acting on based on what we're being asked to do. So when we're working on things such as average length of stay or readmissions, if there's specific spokes to that exist within multiple departments, like our performance improvement department, our coordination department, they each have their own rules, dashboards, and everything that are most meaningful to them. So being able to use those shortcuts and have the basically work from the middle down and the middle up really allows the navigation within My Library to promote what's most important about the data and what decisions need made.
That's fantastic. And, a theme that I've heard you come back to across all these questions is really that idea of flexibility. And I think that goes, hand in hand with promoting from the middle, and, the fact that the solution has a low floor where kind of anyone can get in, see the data, and a high ceiling of, really making the most of you get out of it what you put into it. So I feel like that really encapsulates a lot of what you've talked about today. So thank you so much for being here with us today and for sharing your team's experiences with My Library. And we are really looking forward to seeing what you do with it next.
Thank you so much.